Basking in the sun on a quiet street, you are standing in front of a 3D model of Van Gogh's painting, The Restaurant Rispal in Asnières. Go inside the building and explore the different rooms, where some of Van Gogh's most famous artworks are brought to life. Through the main doorway of the building, you'll see a cafe with scattered furniture and an empty pool table in the center. The jarring reds and green clash against one another. The bright lights reflect harshly off the wooden floor. It is a quiet setting, but the furniture is askew, leaving a trace of the customers who have just left. This room is a recreation of Van Gogh's The Night Café, painted in 1888, which you can find on the next floor of this building. In one of several letters he wrote to his brother Theo about the painting, he said,
"Everywhere there's a clash and contrast of the most alien reds and greens in the figures of little sleeping hooligans in the empty, dreary room.
You are now in a room from one of Van Gogh's most well-known paintings, the bedroom. Vincent moved to Arles in February 1888. After several years working in Paris, he sought respite from ill health in the south of France, settling in what is known as the Yellow House. This room is a recreation of his bedroom here. You can find the painting itself on the second floor. The rooms had been unfurnished for months before, so once he moved in, Van Gogh decorated the space with his own work, adding simple furniture using money sent to him by his brother. Look closely at the chairs. Perhaps one of these would have been the chair that Vincent painted in Arles, which you can see on the top floor of this building. Excited to have a home for himself, he began painting frantically in his studio, also in the Yellow House, as he was eager to fill the space. He is said to have slept for a full 2 days afterwards in this very bedroom. The door to the right would lead to a guest room, where fellow post-impressionist Gauguin stayed when he joined him there in 1888. But the two had a tumultuous relationship, resulting in an argument where Van Gogh is thought to have severed part of his left ear in a fit of rage. Vincent van Gogh painted around 43 self-portraits throughout his career, most of which he made whilst living in Paris. Whilst he did not always have the means to find a sitter, this also offered him the chance to explore his sense of self. To his brother he wrote,
People say, and I am willing to believe it, that it's hard to know yourself. But it's not easy to paint yourself either.
As in this portrait, he often depicted himself as serious and in deep concentration or thought. This may have been his last self-portrait before his untimely death at the age of 37. His sharp cheekbones make him appear emaciated, and his eyes look anxious and weary. And yet the softness of the blue and the rhythmic painted swirls feel more hopeful. This space might seem familiar. It's the painting that the night cafe downstairs has been recreated from. It's the end of the night, and there's only a few customers left. On the right-hand side, there's two men hunched over in drunken conversation. The man sitting alone on the right is slumped into a stupor. Those who are left in the cafe seem down on their luck, with nowhere else to go. In a letter to his brother Theo, Van Gogh wrote,
It is what they call here a café de nuit. They are very frequent here, staying open all night. Night prowlers can take refuge there when they have no money to pay for a lodging or are too drunk to be taken in.
Letter to his sister.
I often think of the little one. I believe that certainly it's better to bring up children than to expend all one's nervous energy in making paintings. But what can you do? I myself am now, at least I feel I am, too old to retrace my steps or to desire something else. I very much regret not having seen Guillaumin again. but it pleases me that he's seen my canvases. If I'd waited for him, I would probably have stayed to talk with him in such a way as to miss my train. Wishing you luck and good heart and relative prosperity. Please tell mother and sister sometime that I think of them very often. Handshakes in thought. Ever yours, Vincent.
In a sleepy suburb just north of Paris, residents stroll in front of the Restaurant Rispal, a light brick building with green shutters. In this painting, Van Gogh focuses on the café as a central site within the community, preempting his later longing to set up an artist commune in the quieter countryside. Van Gogh learned his use of color from other artists, whom he lived and worked alongside in Paris. He walked the 2-hour journey from Paris with fellow artist Paul Signac, who showed him how to apply colors side by side in elongated dabs to create the impression of movement. From this, Van Gogh developed his own distinct use of brushstrokes, later evolving into the swirling patterns of color he became so well known for.
For putting somebody up, there will be the prettiest room upstairs, which I'll try to make as nice as possible. Like a woman's boudoir, really artistic. Then there will be my own bedroom, which I'd like to be exceedingly simple. But the furniture square and broad.
Van Gogh's sunflowers, which he painted in Arles between 1887 and 1889, were some of his most famous. Much of his work played with the potential of color, and for this painting, he used only 3 shades of yellow, including pigments that had only recently been created. They were painted to symbolize his gratitude to fellow artist Paul Gauguin, who stayed with Van Gogh in Arles in 1888. When the two first met, they exchanged paintings, with Van Gogh gifting one from his sunflower series. In a letter to his brother, he wrote, "Gauguin himself above all liked the sunflowers." So, in the hope of impressing him, Vincent then hung the paintings in the room where Gauguin stayed whilst in Arles.
There, once back here, I set to work again. The brush, however, almost falling from my hands, and knowing clearly what I wanted, I've painted another 3 large canvases since then. They are immense stretches of wheat fields under turbulent skies. And I made a point of trying to express sadness, extreme loneliness,